Welcome to MittenMusic.
Season 4, Raw, Live, and Authentic. Episode 22 with the father-son duo Widetrack, an alternative progressive rock band out of Pontiac, Michigan.
Do we have a band for you to chat, to learn about? We're going to chat with them. You guys are going to
We're going to chat with them. We're going to learn.
It's going to be fan-freaking-tastic. We got the band Widetrack up next.
Yes. And what are they called? What do they call their
rock
music?
The term, and I how have I not heard this term, or why do other people not use this term? Alternative rock. Those are like alternative and progressive. Those are like my two favorite things. Bam, slap them together.
It's natural. Should be together.
Widetrack, baby.
All right, let's bring them in. We got Ron and
Bring
Zach
them on.
from
Look at these
Widetrack.
guys.
Hey.
There they are. Look at that.
All right.
What's happening?
Thanks
Father
for joining
and
me,
son
guys.
duo.
Yeah,
Guess which is which?
this is our first father-son music group. We've done some couples, some married couples, some
Brother and
couples in
sister.
relationships.
We've had a brother and
Brother
sister.
and sister.
Low
Yes.
phase. Yeah. We have
That's
not
right.
had
But we have
father and
not
son.
done a father-son or even a mother-son or mother-daughter, any of that stuff yet. So
Oh, you're
first
right.
time generational band right here.
Well, Dad and I appreciate that.
Heck yeah.
Love it.
You guys are
Love
good.
it. So,
So,
but this band, Ron, had originally started with you, right? Like goes back long time ago. Is that right? That you started it up, and then Zach came on once he came of age. Let's just say.
Yeah. He I started the band back in like 2007 and did 3 albums and had a little bit of a break because of becoming a dad.
Yeah.
And right around 2018, 2017, he was about 12 and he decided he wanted to be a musician, and he got really good really fast. I said, man, this is a nice little asset for the band. And before you know it, he took over and started bossing me around and
pause right there. Does this mean that, Zach, you're not on Welcome to the Machine, the cover Welcome to the Machine? Does that mean you're not on that song?
That is not me on the recording. That was right before I joined.
Oh,
I think I joined right after that was put out.
Yeah.
I just have to say, I've heard a lot of Pink Floyd covers in my day. That freaking song kicks so much ass. Good job. I love that.
Thank
I
you.
added it to my covers playlist. It's freaking good. I love it.
Oh, cool.
Good job.
You had Brian Burleson and Big B.
Yeah, that's how we heard about you. That's how we heard about you. Big B
Yeah.
in the actual proof.
Oh, yeah. I forgot.
He's the lead guitar player on that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I love it. I love Big. He's such a sweet human being. I love that guy.
Yeah. That he was on our 3rd album.
Oh, cool.
Okay. That was the first one that Zach joined up. Zach was playing bass on that. The songs was Brian and I had already worked up all the music for that album, and then just before we recorded it is when Zach came in and played bass on it.
Okay.
Sweet.
And then
Awesome.
Brian went off to do Big B, and we went off to do the next album, which had Zach and I writing together.
Okay.
So
Was that the Unawakening or was that Widetrack 3?
that was the Unawakening.
That's okay. That's what I thought. Because
What's it called? The Unwakening. Yeah.
yeah, you're right. It is called
Unwakening.
Unwakening. I call it the Unwaking. Unwakening. Unwakening.
Say it 5 more times, Ryan.
Yeah.
I got it now. I think I got it.
I had to think about it too. No, but yeah, that's the one where he had done the Widetrack 3 album with us, and then he just kept getting better and better, as one sometimes does at that age, going into, I think it was puberty, that puberty energy.
Right.
So
Hey, whatever gets the job done.
So Zach, how did you come to this? You wanted to be a musician? Is it because your dad was a musician, or like what was it, and why the bass of all the instruments?
Oh man. Well, I started playing guitar when I was about 9, and I wasn't super invested in it. I had a little bit of a knack for some of the early things, but I mean, I've since been a teacher, and I've seen a lot of people start off on the guitar, and having a knack or being a natural is just it just really doesn't mean a whole lot. So I recognized that in myself, and I was like, all right, this is going to take some real work. So I think I'd rather just play video games. It was around when I was, I think, probably about 10 or 11, going into middle school, where, you know, you become more self-conscious or self-aware, and you want to identify more with something. And,
Sure.
you know, I didn't really want to identify with video games. I wanted to identify with something cool like guitar. So I started getting more serious and practicing more. And then my dad said, you know, hey, you can play in my band, but I'm already playing guitar, and we've already got a lead guitarist, but we don't have a bass player. But if you can play guitar, you can play bass. And I was so naive, I didn't know any better. So I picked up the bass, and that's been my main instrument for a while. But, you know, I've since gotten my guitar playing up to snuff to where, you know, I can write and record all of our songs on guitar. That way we don't have to get any outside counsel, and we can be selfish and do everything ourselves, and have the
Love
final
it.
say over every detail.
Love it.
And yeah, the rest is history.
All right. That's awesome. That's cool. You say middle school, you know, that I think that is a like pivotal point in people's lives, and especially musically wise. I think late middle school, early high school, right? That and in through high school, you pick up what you enjoy there, and you probably won't find this out till really later in life, but like that's like what sticks with you for a long time, I feel like.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's plenty of studies actually that the music that you listen to when you're 14 is the music that you'll love for the rest of your life.
Makes
It's true
sense.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can go on to whatever
Black Sabbath, what?
in music,
Right. For me,
but,
it's Pumpkins, Smashing Pumpkins, like in Tool.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
Metallica,
that never
Nirvana.
leaves.
That was everything. Yeah.
Deftones. Yep. All that stuff.
Yeah,
So
it's really
I'm
cool.
lucky that I got to listen to a lot of Rush, King Crimson, Yes, you know, all those bands at that period, and that was my kind of introduction into music on a deeper level, you know, beyond just
Ooh.
passive listening. It was like, you know, more identifying with it, and then, you know, putting yourself inside the music, listening to each instrument, you know, listening to the same song 50 times in a row.
Cool. You look like you could be in Rush. I mean,
I
you
I
got the
get that
vibe,
sometimes.
man.
We've heard that once or 2,000 times.
I bet.
Yeah. Since I've actually started playing bass,
Yeah.
which was very inspiring.
Oh,
I mean, it still is.
like-
Geddy Lee's one of my favorite.
Yeah. Is
favorite
he
bass
related to
players.
Geddy Lee? Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah. So I love it. I love it.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you kind of alluded to this a little bit, Zach, but like you two are composing the music, right? You guys are putting that together, and then when you go out to play live, you're pulling in others to play with you. Is that right?
Yeah, occasionally. For a long time, we went out as a two-piece, and we would just forego the bass parts. We thought about
Okay.
using like tracks, and we haven't really gotten into that until later. So we were just going out with drums and singing for my dad, and then I was trying to do kind of a hybrid guitar and bass part on the baritone guitar, and even a couple times on like an 8-string guitar. And I'm all right at guitar. I'm not that good though. So we eventually decided that the music is going to sound better and it's going to feel better, and we're not going to have to, you know, put the pedal to the metal every single song to make it sound right if we get one of the persons. So we recruited our good friend Dave Humphreys for our live playing. He covers all the bass parts. And in our cover band, where I play bass, he plays all the guitar. So we've had a lot of musical chemistry beforehand. So it was a pretty natural fit, and he's going to be playing with us before this episode comes out this Friday in Hamtramck. So hopefully if you're watching this, you were there and had a great time. I know we will. So
Yeah, it's funny. Dave and he's been my best friend since I was 13 years old. And we grew up playing in bands together and have written a million songs together. So having him coming and being part of this, and incidentally, he's the guy that played bass on the Welcome to the Machine.
Oh,
recording.
there you go.
So there's
there's that too.
Tying it
kind
all
of
together.
Yeah.
Yes.
But our next writing project, we're gonna write with the two of us and him, and we're not positive it will be Widetrack. We just want to let it become whatever it's going to
See
become.
what happens. Yeah. Oh, I
But,
love that. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I dig it.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just finished our latest album a few months ago. It just came out April 23rd. Galatea.
his birthday.
It happened to be my birthday.
Happy
But
birthday.
I think the last one came out on your birthday. So
Was it?
something like that. So it's it's just a good time of
Yeah.
year to release an album,
Yeah, we always kind of try to coincide them with the family members, but one album was released on my dad's birthday, another one.
Yeah.
He's had two.
Cool.
One we released The Unawakening when he was 16, and we released this one when he was 21.
Oh.
So
Okay.
Sweet.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, we recorded, mixed and mastered the whole thing ourselves. Hopefully it doesn't sound like that, but
That was my next question. Where did you guys record and put together these albums? Yeah, you did it.
Yep.
You're
Right in
just
this.
at home.
did
Yes.
it all in house.
Yep.
We love it.
And we've
I
been
would not have
recording
guessed
our
that.
own tracks.
Would not have guessed it.
Oh,
Sounds
thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah, sounds great.
Since the Unawakening, I have been doing all the recording and mixing. And it's definitely improved since I was 15. At least I hope.
Practice.
5 years of doing Widetrack albums. Hopefully something clicks in that time. But this one was a lot of fun. It started off as a completely different album that my dad had already finished writing and had demos for. And from that album, we took 2 songs, the first 2 on the album, Red and Saturnine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we just wrote more material to try to live up to what I thought were the 2 strongest songs of my dad's kind of proto-Galatea. So from there, we wrote most of the stuff in pretty chronological order on the album, and finished writing, recording, and mixing within about, I think, like a year or so.
Yeah, we had worked on those first 2 songs. We were playing those out before we had anything else written for the album. And somewhere in the midst of all that is when he broke the news to me that he was going to go to Berklee. And so I was like, wow, that's not too far. I think it was like 9 months or something like that.
Something like that.
And he was like, let's make our next album. I said, really? I don't know if the last one took 2 years. Are you sure we can do it? And we were mixing in this room here until like 3 o'clock in the morning. And we're leaving the next day at 9 o'clock in the morning to drive to Boston. So,
wow.
Right at the 11th hour. So, but it
you had a deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were, and being all perfectionistic about it or whatever. You think you got it done, and it takes 3 more days of just tweaking mixes and stuff like that. But I leave that stuff to him. That's his department.
Yes.
I heard a quote recently that really spoke to me about perfection, or it was perfectionism is procrastination in disguise. And I think that could mean different things different ways. For me, it's like when I want to do some creative outlet, whatever it may be, I either never get it done and release it because I never think it's good enough, or I'm always just tweaking it, or I just can't get the thing out. And it's like, you gotta, for myself, gotta break that down. Like, don't be a perfectionist. Get the thing out. It's not going to be 100%. It's not going to. Nothing is ever going to be the most amazing thing you've done. Hopefully, you get a couple of those, but you got to get it out. So I feel I vibe with that a little bit. I know what you're saying.
So funny. We were talking with a friend of ours. Zach said the Da Vinci quote: "Art is never finished; it's abandoned."
Ooh, I like that one too. Ooh.
And it's kind of like, because you have to make peace with.
Yeah.
I always remember years and years ago reading this interview. I don't know how I came across an interview with Michael Stipe of REM, and he said, these songs will at some point tell me, stop messing with me, you know? And that really is like, you get to a point where you're just overthinking it, or you want it to be as good as it can. I think part of that for me is like, once you've done that enough, when you go back and you just get away from the stuff for a little while and you go back and you listen to it, you have the comfort and the peace of mind of knowing, yeah, I really left it all on the floor for this. You know, I mean, I feel good about how much time we spent on this, and even because you're always gonna hear the imperfections.
Sure.
You know, you're always gonna hear like, ah, man, you know, but your ears are used to hearing things that cost tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars to produce.
Yeah.
You know, and you're trying to kind of approximate that, and you're not going to, you know, you've got,
and really nobody, because you have the vision and the everything you want it to be, right? Nobody else really knows that. So
right.
the imperfections to you are missed by most people, probably
they
because
don't
they're like, I
translate.
don't know what the finished product. This seems like that's the finished product. Like that's what it's supposed to be.
That's a great point. It's so incredibly objective that someone might hear your imperfections and say, well, that's intentionally lo-fi.
Right.
You know, or I like that. It sounds DIY. It must be meant to be that way.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's just our lack of resources. But then that can work out for you sometimes. So you just let it go and know you did the best. And by that time, you're so sick of hearing the songs.
Right.
You know, you're mixing a song, you're hearing it. Like he was like, we're driving to Boston, and we listened to the final mix, and after we got done, it was like, I don't want to hear that for a while.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We're good. It's done, and it was a good 3 months, I think, until he came back home for his break. We didn't even listen to the music. We played it. You know, I don't think we've still listened to it, have we?
No.
I think we listened to it when it came out on Spotify.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like that.
On the day of, yeah.
Gotcha.
Which is always nerve-wracking too, because you're like, okay, how is it going to transfer to that?
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
You know.
But if you never put it out, it would never get out to the world, right? So
I've known people that they can't unfreeze from that. They're like, nope, I'm not putting this out. It's not good enough. And you'll hear it, and you're like, dude, you're crazy. That sounds amazing, man. Nope, it's not there. And they never do it, you know.
Yeah.
They shoot themselves in the foot. But I understand it. That's one thing I do understand.
Yeah. So the name Widetrack, I feel like Jeff knows why, how you got your name.
I think I know why.
You think? Okay, you think.
There's a very
Jeff,
popular road called Widetrack in the east side of the state, so I'm assuming that's where it comes from.
Yeah, that's where our studio was, and
Oh.
funnily enough, Dave, we were just talking about this the other day. Dave and I were jamming up there, and he coined that name. He was like, "Oh, well, this is, you know, Widetrack goes around the area." We were right in downtown Pontiac.
Yeah.
And so yeah, no big mystery. But I thought, oh, it's kind of a, you know, it kind of gives you this feel of recording a little bit.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I like it. I dig it.
Definitely.
You know what else I like, and I want to ask you, is the titles of the songs, and besides the Widetrack 1, 2, and 3, titles of albums and song titles. There's something that, I don't know. It's the choice of words are all a little not basic, not generic. They're very descriptive in a, I don't even know, like Galatea, wretch, demons, ivory, possession, lycanthropic, like those, you know what I don't even know how to describe those types of words. I see lots of one word titles. Is there a reason, or is that just how it just comes out?
It's something that we intend on breaking out of at
I
some
think
point.
it's like
I was just curious.
every song on every album, with like maybe 4 or 5 exceptions, it's like a one-word title.
Yes,
Which,
but and all the words just have, they like, I don't want to say they all relate, but they're just all off-center words. They're descriptive, but not basic. I don't know. You know what I mean? Virtue, pendulum, serpents, mirage. You know, like I feel like I'm playing frickin' Dungeons and Dragons or frickin'
Well, it is kind of, there's the
magic
prog element, I
card
guess.
game. Like just though that fantasy, like kind of, and like the artwork even kind of flows into that a little bit too. You know, is that, am I on the right track of how you guys feel about, or what thoughts and ideas
yeah,
on
you know, I
going
mean,
into that? Or is it all just random? It's like
part
whatever.
of what I get out of my dad's lyric writing and the titles, which I don't have very much to do with, but you know, I guess I have part of the final say on like yeah, like, oh yeah, that's the title, we got to use that, that's awesome. Is that you know, a lot of it's left to have a little bit of vagueness. You know, you can kind of interpret
Yeah,
it in more ways when there's less, you know, phonemes and morphemes provided.
yeah,
So
yeah. That
yeah,
makes
one
sense.
word titles are, I think, kind of they have a cool effect in that way where you know, red could mean the color, or it could mean the emotion,
Yeah, anger.
or it could mean, you know, it's, yeah, a
Yeah.
bunch of different stuff related to, you know,
It makes you want to
people's
dive in and
feelings.
understand it more, right?
Yeah,
So like if it was more of a descriptive title, like 5 words that kind of gave you, okay, I know this is not in your music, but like I love you so much. You know, it's like you don't really have to understand it. Now you got to dive in and understand, what does red mean here, or what is, you know. I like that.
Yeah, I always I always liked when you would see a title and it wasn't like a chorus or a
Yeah.
main feature of a song, and you knew that the lyricist was the kind of lyricist that was really thoughtful about things,
mm,
and you'd say, "Oh, there's gotta be a reason why that song is
yep.
called that."
That's what
And I
yes.
really liked that approach, and every title does apply to. I know some people just pick an arbitrary title and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean anything. Like Zeppelin is a great example.
Oh yeah.
Actually Zeppelin. What I read was the titles of their songs were often working titles for the songs before the lyrics were written,
Ooh.
and they would just kind of stick. Like Trampled Underfoot. You know, well, the feel of this song is trampled underfoot, and then he writes about a car, and it sort of shoehorns its way into like, well, that's kind of what that means, but it really was originated by way of it was a working title. And we've done that before where it's like, oh yeah, and then you write some lyrics and the title changes sometimes, but you're a little resistant because you like the title, you're just used to it. I think part of what we try to do is be a little counterintuitive. We try to not go with the obvious thing, and
Yes.
because sometimes when you investigate something further, the obvious thing's going to jump out at you, and you can always come back to it. But if you just kind of set it aside and investigate,
Mm.
sometimes it'll take you in a completely different direction. And every now and again, you get this treasure of like, oh, I'm glad I didn't just take the low hanging fruit. Um, but with lyrics and stuff, that's the thing. I spend a ridiculous amount of because it's like you just don't want to be cliche and
Yeah.
use things that I think it's what any musician or artist is trying to do is find their own voice, and that can be a really chiseling away at something type process. Or some people, I've known some musicians that are just brilliant with it. They just come out with stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm definitely not one of those. I have to really work at it. So
Take some time. Well, you're doing a fantastic job. All that to say, I love this. If I could, all my favorite bands, I wish they had. I like this kind of stuff. The verbiage and the imagery, like
Yeah.
it's all my jam. I love it. You
oh,
guys are
thank
doing
you.
a fantastic job.
Yeah, I
That's
like
great
the
to hear.
imagery. I really
Yeah.
do. I like
think
the
it's
cover
cool.
art. It's pretty
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, a friend of ours, Chuck Moberg, he was one of the first guys that we talked to. Our last CD had AI art, and I was like, man, I don't know how I feel about this. And Zach's like, if we're gonna do it, we better do it now because this will be so uncool.
Sure
In
enough.
years
you
from now,
know. But
yeah.
then this new one, my friend he kind of uses it, and then he renders the
Manipulates
AI
it.
art.
Yep.
And
That's the way to do
I asked him one day if he had anything. He just sent that over. I'm like, oh, can I buy this off you? And,
it.
and he was like, just take it, and so he's doing really well with making these crazy clown horror coloring books. So that was a piece of art that he did that was it was kind of cool to see him do something that was um, a little off the beaten trail of what he would do normally.
I want a horror clown comic book. I want that. That sounds
Coloring book.
sweet,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
That's freaking cool.
yeah. These are really. I'll send you a link.
Heck yeah.
He's
I want to
he's
buy
got
it.
some really cool stuff. It's very detailed.
Ooh, yeah.
And doesn't look AI. I'm that with the rendering that he does to it. So
Mhm.
I think there's a nice balance to be found with stuff
For
like
sure.
that if
I
you can
agree.
do it the right way.
I work in technology for my day job, and AI is like obviously these days it's huge. So we got to know about all the different versions and additions and updates and programs and all this stuff and what it's being used for. And there's just so many that can do so many things. But yeah, like it also gives a tool to someone who can't do anything, and that's all. You just have AI junk everywhere. It's like I've been
Yeah,
hearing Spotify's been creating like fake AI artists just to like get more music going through Spotify. It's all fake. It's not real. It's like
yeah.
why? We don't need
Yeah.
that. But it
That's
should
the
be a tool.
fear.
It should be a tool to be used for like what you were saying. Like that's a great way to use AI for sure. I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like an effects pedal with a guitar,
Yeah.
when you put
Yep.
too much chorus, at first
Sure.
you think chorus just sounds great. You put it on everything and it's like, dude, you'll grow out of that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
So Zach, you're going to Berklee. You're going there for music, right?
That is right.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more about that. What is that journey like? What have you learned since going there, and how does that apply to this or maybe other music that you enjoy doing?
Oh man. Well, like all of us here, I think, am a big fan of progressive music, and part of the progressive rock pipeline is jazz fusion, and then jazz preceding that, the original form of progressive music, you could say.
Mhm.
But I think the one of the bummers about living in suburban Michigan is that there's not a whole lot of people that also play that sort of music and are attached to the history and all that. So Berkeley's a great place for playing ridiculous styles of music, any style of music.
Ooh.
From contemporary Balkan progressive rock to jazz metal and whatever else. I
Can
mean,
think of.
everything is going on over there,
Yeah.
which is really inspiring. I mean, at home, it's like if I work on a two-handed bass tapping lick for 3 weeks, it's fun, but I will never get to play that anywhere or for anybody beyond, hey, look what I can do. All right,
Yeah.
time to go play something that I can play in a band with you. So at Berklee, there's opportunities to play stuff like that in a setting where it's musically appropriate. which
Yeah.
is awesome. And I think that has a lot of positive effects on your musicianship. You know, when you're able to experiment with, you know, extended techniques and play with a lot of different talented musicians. Something I found in Michigan, my conception of what a good musician looked like was um, just what, you know, my dad or what Dave sounded like, which they are amazing musicians. But you know, that's kind of what my internal sound for, you know,
Mhm.
what drums are supposed to sound like
Your
was. And
barometer,
so,
yeah.
you know, hearing another drummer or guitar player that's amazing in their own way, and feeling what it feels like to play with them, and what that brings out of your playing is really inspiring. You can kind of come back to, you know, the homeland with, you know, these new treasures of knowledge, and you know, like, you know, check this out, and you know, and what if I played this instead of this over what you're playing, and all that. So yeah, I think just having access to a community of musicians who are um, giving it 100%, and who are, you know, immersed in the same levels of, you know, crazy progressive music is one of the best things that can happen to any musician. And I think it ties back even further to, like, you look at all the great musical movements in history. It's, you know, like people like Beethoven and Mozart, and you know, Chopin, and you know, even into the, you know, Charlie Parker, all these jazz and classical superheroes that are, you know, household names now. I don't necessarily think it was because they had some stroke of genius, but like the fact that Mozart grew up in or was working in, I think, like Vienna, which was like an art capital of the world at the
Mhm.
time. I mean, like, it was just like it was a viable profession to be a court composer, and you know, you had a lot of different musicians all kind of gunning for these jobs, and you know, it was very commonplace for the average person to know how to play piano. This sort of stuff is what allows for the opportunity for, you know, really great music to arise, is when you
Mhm.
have a large bed of, you know, people who have access to that stuff. And so I think you know, that's to sum up is what I think is great about a place like Berklee. But I don't necessarily think it has to be Berklee. I think anywhere that you know other musicians play, and where you are all kind of lifting each other up with a little bit of healthy competitiveness
Yeah.
is it is amazing for, you know, musicianship.
Yeah, that was always the thing of you know, when he was growing up, it was a frustrating thing. We brought him into our cover band as well. I've had a cover band for years that we just do a lot of dance rock parties
Mm.
and stuff like that. And he's gotten a lot of that type of experience over the years as well. But it was always frustrating for him because he would come home from school and he would say, "Dad, man, you know, I'm the best drummer in my school." He's like and I don't say that like it's a bragging thing. It's like it's frustrating because
I
you
want
know
someone
he's
that's better. So
yeah, he's
Right.
accelerating as as a musician. And when I
yeah.
was his age, I had a great, like, what he's saying really rings true for me because we all went out to California and went to Musicians Institute. Um,
Mm.
yeah, out there, and we went together, and we mostly just used the school at the rehearsal spaces late at night, you know, and sort of went to classes, but it was more of taking our band out there because we had a band and we had a, you know, and that like you said, the healthy competitiveness, and you got the guy next to you saying, "Well, I played that right elbow, you know."
Yeah.
Um, and he only had me and Dave really to do that with. So when he said he was going out to Berklee, I was like, this is really going to be a good thing for you. We're bummed about it. You know, that to be doing cover gigs and stuff with the fill in now, but it's just I'm so excited for him because he's already like, "Hey, check out these music," you know, he show me videos of the projects that he's playing, and it's just, I mean, these guys are just amazing. I'm like, that's what
Yeah.
you've been looking for all these years. So it really is cool to see him. And they're out there. You see on YouTube, you see these kids all the time that are
Yeah.
just like amazing musicians, like world class, and they're not rare. So why
Right?
are they rare in our hometown? It's a really strange thing. But out there, a place like that, there's more of them. So
For sure.
That's cool. That's awesome. Well, it's good you're getting a great experience out there, and sure you're going to bring it in as you continue to play in the future.
Yeah.
So
Just constantly improving, it sounds like. That's awesome.
yeah.
It's cool. Do you guys have any other? I know we talked about the show this Friday that you have booked. Did you say you have some more shows this summer maybe, or in the fall? Or I can't remember if we were
we
chatting
have
about that
we
earlier.
don't have actual dates, but we've got
Some
they're
ideas of
kind of like we want to do there's a music store locally here called Motor City Guitar.
ooh.
And it's a pretty cool music store, and we've talked to the owner about doing a show there.
Mhm.
And there's also a place in downtown Pontiac that we played. It was the last most recent Widetrack gig that we played a couple days before he went to Berklee.
Cool.
Called the Pontiac's Little Art Theater,
Ooh,
the
that's
Platte.
Oh, yeah.
We really like this place, and they're kind of trying to keep it open and stuff, so we want to help them out and do a benefit for them, because it's the type of place that's not really a bar. It's like they serve liquor and stuff like that, but it's more for performances, so it's just really, that's more up our alley, and so we're hoping to do something
okay.
probably in July.
Well, I'm selfishly asking so I can keep my radar open because I want to check you guys out live for sure. I absolutely do. So,
Cool.
so I'll be paying attention to see if you guys drop some dates or where, and we'll make the trip over to the east side. We'll make it.
Yeah, where are you guys anyway?
We're outside of Grand Rapids, so we're on the west side of the state. So it works. I was born in Port Huron, so I'm familiar with the east side. But yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we've got family in Port Huron. That's kind of cool.
I was just there 2 weeks ago.
Oh, hey. Yeah, but we love to play out that way too. I'm not super familiar with, there's like the intersection and
you guys like oh shoot, what's the turnstiles? Turnstiles would be a good fit. Pyramid Scheme, Pyramid Scheme is where you want. It's every band we interview that plays in West Michigan, they say Pyramid Scheme is their favorite. It's my favorite place to see a show. It's the best. It's awesome.
Cool.
That is a place. Check that out. You guys you fit in the bill there very well.
Oh,
we'll have
good news.
So
All right.
discover that a little bit. Awesome.
Sweet.
This is great for sure.
It's good talking with you guys.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us, and
Absolutely.
excited. The new album's great. People need to check it out for sure. And obviously, Ryan's. You really need to look at all the songs and dig in deep to understand.
It's cool
what
stuff.
They're all about.
Heck yeah!
Oh, thank you guys.
For sure.
Appreciate it, Ryan and Jeff.
Yeah.
For sure.
Nice
Good stuff, guys. Well, take it easy. We will keep listening to Widetrack and can't wait to see you live.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Hey, you guys take care. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys.
If you like this episode, check out all of our episodes on your favorite streaming platform, or even our website, themittenmusic.com. Or if you want short clips of our episodes, check out our socials. We got Facebook, we have Instagram, we got TikTok, and YouTube. We're all over the social media game. Make sure to check out some live Michigan music or listen on your favorite streaming platform.